everybody's here, right? All the commissioners. So we can get started. As usual, I'd love to start with approving the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Second, somebody?
Second. Oh,
All in-
does Commissioner Malaba have a question?
I think I may have noted an edit needed there. That said, I moved the approval of the agenda. I was not able to join the last meeting. I apologize.
Sorry, Commissioner Malaba, you're breaking up a bit. I couldn't hear what you, can you say that again?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yes, I think, yeah, I noted an edit for the minutes for the 3/29 meeting that include Commissioner Malaba moving to adopt an agenda. I was not able to join the last meeting.
That's right. Huh.
Ah,
Yeah.
Good catch.
yeah.
Somebody did though.
Yeah, someone did it all. What do we do in that case to adjust the minutes? Just,
I
do you need a new motion to approve? last-
We could probably hold off on approving the minutes pending some, and maybe approve them next meeting after they've been edited.
or we could slip in that the minutes were moved and approved.
Yeah. Or we could have a new motion to approve the 3/29 minutes and agenda, and then you can edit it. Actually, maybe I could have a big motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting and from this meeting, and a second.
Why do we need to deal with last meeting's minutes?
Were those incorrect, right? Did I misunderstand?
Oh, right.
I think you can move a motion to adopt as amended.
Amended.
Right, we noted the edit as amended.
Okay, can I have a motion to adopt as amended the 3/29 minutes? Is
So moved.
there a second?
A little confused because they haven't actually been amended. We've noted an error, but we haven't.
So we have them on the floor. I would move to amend the minutes of the meeting of the 29th to read that the previous agenda had been moved and adopted, and leave it generic as to whom.
Right, so I will, with that as the amendment, I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Thanks for catching that. Okay, let's move to the, so that was a 3/20, that was the last meeting minutes, and then the agenda for today. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda for April 5th meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
I'll say EJ moved. Do we have a,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. The motion, we have the agenda for today and the minutes approved. So the next point is just acknowledgement that you've reviewed the public comments to date and everyone's able, thumbs up. Oops, I'm not in the
There was
screen.
really nothing new, I don't think, was there? Did I? Okay. Yes, I noticed there was nothing new.
Okay, terrific. Okay, now I guess we can move to public comment if there is any. I think you said nobody was officially, is there anybody who didn't officially register that would like to give public comment?
Okay.
Okay. Does any commissioner have anything to disclose today as a potential conflict of interest? Nope. Okay, great. We're breezing through. Okay, so now we're at our the next point, which is the next chair discussion. So if you all recall, in the fall, the commission voted to share responsibility of chairing the commission equally among all of us. We all bring different skills and points of view. So I think that was a good decision. It also, of course, takes additional time and preparation to chair. So it's nice to share in that responsibility. The original agreement, however, which is in our bylaws, states that each commission chair will serve for 3 months on a rotating basis. However, noting that the commission wraps up in November, if you sort of do the math and we're all going to have a turn to chair, it's more like 2.5 months instead of 3 months. So staff has asked that we amend our bylaws slightly so that it reflects what our actual plan is. So we would need to do that today and also nominate our next chair, and if possible, maybe just line it up for the rest of the duration of our commission, what the chairing responsibilities are. If you do the math, we would have our next chair begin April 19th, which would be our next meeting, chair until June, at the end of June, and then we have July through September 15th, September 15th to November. So I just like to open it up to any questions, discussions, thoughts. Oh, Commissioner O'Sullivan.
Yeah, just real quick question. Is there any particular notice or additional procedural steps that are required for us to amend the bylaws?
Elsa or Ariel, does anyone have a response?
Gary?
Gary.
Not unless this is Gary, not unless there is any provision in the bylaws themselves that says that they can't be amended at the same meeting.
Got it, thanks.
Commissioner Nichols?
I was just going to suggest maybe a simpler approach where we kept the 3 month. Hopefully, EJ will step forward and be the next chair for 3 months, and then Commissioner Malaba the next 3 months, and I would be more than happy to have a shortened term. I chaired more meetings in my lifetime than I need to. So that might just be a little simpler if that works for patients and for EJ.
I would turn it to others. I'm happy to pass on my responsibility at the next meeting, April 19th, and we can figure out the math between the next two if you'd prefer to proceed that way.
That's fine with me. I think perhaps at the end, it would be good for us to change the bylaws anyway, though, just so that the next crew has the standard set and cadence for chairing, minus our particular makeup's preference.
Well, and I guess I'll just ask or consider whether, so I know that we're expected to, that our final map has to be adopted by mid-November, but I guess this is a question. Do we know whether or not there's going to be any follow-up work or any additional lawsuits we have to respond to? Or I mean, we can hope that we're going to be done by mid-November, but I don't know that we can guarantee that we're going to be done by mid-November.
I was assuming we'd go till the end of November, pending anything else that came up. We'd probably have some wrap up at the end where we want to think about best practices or, you know, other documentation.
That would mean that Commissioner Nichols would get to chair for the most exciting part if things go south. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's what he's signing up for, I guess, if it continues on, right? Ariel.
Just to add that, so according to the charter, the commission does not disband. So technically, there is nothing that says that you are officially disbanded as of the date that you submit the plan. Keep that in mind. You might be
Wait, what
dormant
is
for
that then?
10 years and replace the commissioners, but there is no disbandment provision in the charter.
What does that mean that we're, can you say
So
that again?
we've
I
been
don't know.
elected for a 10-year term, apparently.
No.
Yeah, this will be something that we can definitely look into. I know I don't want you to have to sign up for a 10-year term, but let's look into this and discuss this in a future meeting.
But so I guess my proposal is let's leave it at 3 months. Let's leave Commissioner Shaw, Commissioner Juarez, and Commissioner Malaba all to serve out a full 3-month term, and we'll see where things are in November. Because we may still need a little bit more time and a little bit more help from Commissioner Nichols at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it works for me. The only piece would be to connect with maybe Commissioner Nichols on the timing. I'm going to be better served towards the end of the year than mid-year. So we can coordinate on that.
Okay, so in other words, we can't really map out the future chairs at this time.
Other than
All
the
right.
next chair, sure. Yeah, we can be
Yes.
flexible when we get down the road to July and August.
So I think Commissioner Malabo was thinking in the fall would be a good,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll nominate Commissioner Juarez to serve as chair beginning in May. Would that be appropriate?
A second, well,
April 19th.
19th.
Oh, that okay. But if we're each serving 3-month terms, I think it would be May. But either way.
Commissioner Juarez, are you ready to take over April 19th? This is kind of what we had talked about.
Yeah, I can do the 19th. I think it's just a matter of the 2.5 versus 3 months. Whatever we land on is fine.
Second,
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Elsa.
I just want to clarify for the to-dos. So we are going to be, there's a request from the commission to have an item to discuss on what happens after November, right?
That's right.
And what are the different options and how do we close down the commission? How do we close down shop? How do we do all of that work? I think it should be an item for in the next couple of meetings possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to think about whether or not there's a role, and I'm not thinking a long-term role, but a very temporary role for the commission to play in terms of outreach and education regarding that changing maps and what that means for the upcoming election or anything. Maybe there isn't, but it'd just be nice to know.
I think I was going that way because there isn't, and there is something that we want to put together as a department. We want to put together a proposal on how we're going to come back to the community with the results, and for that we can invite folks from the county elections to let us know how it went last time around, and we've already had a meeting before that, so they can come and share with us and have a conversation at the same time. Which wasn't much. It wasn't much of an outreach, so it's just to let you know. So,
But
okay,
at some point, there should be some official closure. So 5 years down the line, we're not considered part of this commission or something. So. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is a GIS update.
Hi, Commissioners and Madam Chair. Thank you for having me again. A very brief report again for you today. First off, the narrative that you've requested is still underway. I've asked for the group to turn their attention back to it. It keeps getting backburnered. I would like to have it to you by this meeting next week. And so that was my instruction to them. So we'll get that wrapped up, get it delivered to you. And in fact, if we get it done before next week, we'll get it out to Elsa and get it out to you via email as soon as we can. As far as the mentoring sessions are going, everything's going well that I have read and understood from my staff. We have conducted sessions now with 4 of you. Commissioner Juarez, whenever you're ready, we will be there for you. But again, I have heard, but haven't discussed with any of you directly myself, but have heard from my staff that those have been productive. There have been good questions, some good work done, and more obviously to be done. I just got earlier today, as all of you got the list of proposed forum dates. I think you'll be talking about that here shortly, but I will be looking at those subsequent to this meeting and making sure that we have staff availability for each of them and pointing out where we may have a conflict. But I anticipate between the group that we'll be able to accommodate each of them. If we can't, I will let Elsa know right away. With that, I don't believe, well, I could go into the budget if you'd like, Elsa. No need.
We can, I'm planning on doing a report for our next meeting. Maybe that's when we can.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Suffice it to say, we're in good shape. Anyway, with that, I've exhausted my list of items. If there are any questions I can answer for you, please let me know.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you then. Okay. The next item is public comment discussion. And I think this is a discussion or brief update on sort of how we're analyzing data and receiving public comment, sorting it and making sense of it. Elsa, I'll turn it to you.
Yeah, and hello, thank you for that. I will probably, sorry, let me start all over. We'd like to bring this conversation probably for the next meeting in depth. I just wanted to give you a heads up on what this conversation is. We've had discussions about how to analyze the public comments that we're receiving and what are the tools that we have had. And so for our next meeting, we will have all our tools ready and up for ready to use for the public, including the form where people can submit all the public comments, and you've received it in an Excel file. We also will have a survey that will include the narrative that Dennis' team is working on. And as well as we will have all the other comments that we've also added into the Excel file. What I have done and I'm doing is meeting with other staff from other redistricting processes to ask how have they been analyzing the data, what's been the process. And so what I will do is I will send out some examples on how the state and King County have been looking at the data, at the public comments. And it's basically, it's not that different than what we already have, which is an Excel file. But the difference is that it includes, very clearly what district do they belong to, and also what districts are they talking about, and what districts may be affected by their comments. And so that way you're able to see and sort them out by district and also by impacted districts next to them. So I will be sending that out for you to review and to look at more in depth in the following meeting. But I wanted to get a sense and comments if you have questions, or what would you like to see for that discussion on our next meeting.
I think it would be useful to sorting by district makes sense, but also by themes. Because there are, multiple people saying similar things.
Like, can you give me an example? Since you've seen them. a little
Yeah, so there was, I think, a bunch of comments that were about Lake City and the different drafts, and keeping Lake City together and not separating it by certain streets or highways. And there was like five or six comments that could be bundled together that kind of said the same thing. Commissioner O'Sullivan, does that make sense, Elsa?
Okay. Yeah.
Commissioner O'Sullivan?
Yeah, so Elsa, I think you and I had some exchanges about different potential platforms that could be used to that does some of that internal to the platform. Have we decided not to go with those platforms, or can you tell me where things are at with that?
Yes, and that's what we're working on. It's called Citizen Lab. That's the application that actually it's approved by the city and that we were able to use. Unfortunately, we can only use it a little bit later in the process because we're still going through the hurdles of making sure that it's all in place with security, with IT. But that's the platform that we would use to share a survey. And that survey would be, once we have a narrower maps, that's my proposal. Once then the public can comment on them. If we can have it before that, by the public forums, we will have them ready to just give folks an outlet to respond right there. And it will give opportunity for the public to respond directly to, does this map work for you? Do you have a preference? And what are your comments? And we'll be directly. And that same platform will give us the opportunity to share with the public what the public is saying. So sharing with the public comments. And so those are the two things that we will be able to hear from using this application.
Did staff review GovZero and Poll.is and rule those platforms out, or?
Well, the issue we had was like having to go through the IT revisions and how long will it take for us to be able to use it. And so this is a platform that it was, people started this process a year ago to get it approved. And so it takes about that long to get it working. And so we decided to go with one that could be up and running on our timeline, instead of another one that we would not be able to accommodate. So I looked at the other ones, and to be honest, a lot of the opportunities to, do public participation, it does have to do with outreach. It has to do with how can we get this information out in the community. And so we decided to go with this one that was already approved. And even though it's approved, we still have to wait a little bit to change some things, because we're going to be sharing it with the app is shared with different departments. And we want to make sure that it's completely clear of who's asking these questions about this map, if it makes sense. And so I will be sending you links to all of these options for you to get familiar with the apps and have a deeper discussion in our next meeting. It's okay.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay, Elsa, do you want to?
Yeah, if you have any other thoughts of what would you like to see in an Excel file when you're looking at it, please let me know and make comments. Thank you.
I mean, once we have the survey tool, we'll have those questions analyzed and sorted as well. Okay, then the outreach update is next.
Yes, so before I go into thoughts and comments of the ones you attended, this week is pretty busy. One day where we have 3 presentations the same day, and I see there's still 2 presentations that don't have commissioner participation. It's okay, we will be recording them all and sending them your way. As you have been seeing, most of the meeting is us giving information, and then the comments and participation comes after. But this week we have April 6th, a bilingual presentation with in South Park, co-hosted by Villa Comunitaria. Then we also have, that's a from 3 to 4:30. Then on the same day, April 6th at 7 p.m., we have one with the Leshai Community Council, and that one is at 7 p.m. And quickly, we'll be moving on to the same day at 8 p.m. I still don't have the confirmation of the time. I hope it is at 8 p.m. For District 1 with the District 1 Neighborhood Council. And that is same day, April 6th at 8 p.m. And then we have one, then
Also,
can
you highlight the ones that you don't have anybody attending? Were those the 3 you just listed, or?
I think Commissioner Sullivan signed up for the Leshai one, which is April 6th at 7 p.m. So we don't have a commissioner, the 3 to 4:30, and that's bilingual, and then in Spanish English, and then the other one is at 8 p.m. District 1. We don't have anybody there. So let us know if you can make it, and if not, we'll just record and send it your way.
Which date is District 1?
It's Wednesday, April 6th at 8 p.m. Well, those are the ones coming up this week. And so any comments about the ones that you attended last week? Any comments or thoughts? I have some thoughts, and thank you for those who were able to jump into the REWA one. We had thought about doing some previous work before doing this meeting, so it was a little bit quick, and the audience was not as prepared as we would have liked them to be. But I've gotten actually good feedback from the presentation in individual emails. Lots of questions, lots of clarifying messages. And so what we're going to do is we're going to continue to work with REWA staff to make sure that we're addressing those questions, and probably coming back with more details. And we have started to plan, and I think some of them are already in the calendar, some presentations in language. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to do a presentation, and we're going to record it, and our community liaisons are doing a voiceover in language so they can present themselves and also send it to their community folks. And so that's the outreach work that we're doing in terms of language access. So we have our community liaisons activated, which is very exciting. We have 10 of them starting to go to meetings and making themselves available for questions. And so they've gotten some response to that as well. So those are my updates, comments, and questions.
Commissioner O'Sullivan?
So I wanted to know, this doesn't have anything to do with the immediately upcoming reach events that are going on, but I wanted to note that we've had public comment from folks, more than one comment, including public comment that's in the public comment spreadsheet from an organization responding to our choice of option C as our forum plan. So that the plan was one forum in each district using the 4 maps, then coming to a conclusion about one map and then a single forum on that one map. And the feedback that we've gotten is that one forum with the final map might not be enough. And so understanding that maybe 7 forums with the final map was more than the commission has capacity for. I wonder if we might want to think about considering more than just one forum with the final map. What we could do is we could do day forum, a weeknight forum, and a weekend forum, so that people with different schedules would all have the ability to comment during a forum on the final map. Wanted to recognize that it seems like we've gotten feedback that a single forum on the final map might not be sufficient.
We can take that into consideration. Does anybody else have comments about that or the public outreach overall?
I think in regards to the second or multiple forums with the final map, I'm open to that conversation. Probably, I would love to have that conversation once we've come to the map, and then we can release more dates if we feel like it's needed, because at that point the public will be able to see the product, and then we may receive additional testimony that says, yes, actually, please more, or we might not receive more, right? Because at this point they're responding to a plan versus an outcome. But I think it's a worthy conversation that we should just schedule to have once we have the map produced.
That makes sense to me. The only other, oh, Ariel.
I just wanted to touch base in the outreach section of the meeting, because I believe I took down a note for a question regarding those outreach meetings, whether whether more commissioners than quorum could attend. Is that still a question you're interested in? It sounds like we're not really making quorum to begin with. So
If you have an answer to that question, we'd love to hear it.
yeah, I looked into it, and I talked it over with Gary Smith as well. And again, the advice is that you can always have more commissioners than the quorum attend. It's just is going to need to be a public meeting. And the reason why that's our advice is looking into the definitions for the OPMA for a meeting. It's a meeting in which an action is taken, and looking at the definition of action, it includes the receipt of public testimony, which it sounds like you are hearing feedback in these sessions. So what you would end up with is a quorum of committee members, commission members in a meeting that the subject is city business and commission business, and receiving public testimony. I don't think that the commission is really that interested in entertaining an OPMA challenge on that. So our advice would be that better safe than sorry. Ask the organizers if they'd be open to having an open public meeting. If they're not, maybe look into solutions like having a recording or having the commissioners that do attend take some notes.
I think we could, thank you so much for that. I think we could handle it at a, case by case basis. So far, we have not exceeded quorum, and there's a lot of public meetings scheduled. So since they're being recorded, if we came into that situation and somehow we were all appeared there, some of us could sign off and listen later on. I don't really think that it's necessary to ask all of the organizations that we're working with to make their meetings open to the public and posting their agendas and everything. Does that sound reasonable? Okay, thank you. The only other thought I had, Elsa, based on the last public listening session I attended, was that it seems like having a few concrete examples about how redistricting impacts communities and their choices, so that you don't, that kind of helps people understand why this matters and how it affects them. Other than that, I think it's a really strong presentation.
Yeah, Absolutely. That was actually part of the plan to do before, to do some work with the organizations to come up with examples that also the organizations recognize as their own, but we just didn't have time to go to that for this last minute. But yes, absolutely. And what's very interesting on this, and I want to get your thoughts too, is that I can give examples. This is when groups and communities can be more helpful at, you know, giving their own ideas of what and how they impact them. But I will definitely be incorporating that for the next sessions for sure. One other thing I forgot to say is that this Friday we have a training session on how to create communities of interest with Dave's redistricting map. And I believe we're going to be using Yesler Terrace as an example. And so we are going to be having that training at noon this Friday from 12 to 1. And Dave Bradley is going to be running the training with some help from us. So.
Wonderful. Commissioner Juarez?
Thank you. I thought it was a great presentation. My only feedback was to probably add some additional language as you're explaining to folks that are attending that our role as commissioners, our attendance is there to listen. Because I'm not sure it was quite clear if we were going to say something to the audience or if they were expecting us. I just hope that that's clear for them so they don't think like they all turned off their cameras and weren't listening. So I appreciate you taking that feedback.
Good
Yeah,
feedback.
if I may say something, I appreciate that. And also I want to note the dynamics that play into having commissioners present as well. I noticed that, and that's something that I'll try to add in the presentation, is that all of a sudden there's like, why are people like, who are the commissioners? Are they here to what? To say something? And then there's some power dynamics there that I want to acknowledge as people. Do people feel comfortable sharing or openly talking? And so especially with communities, they're not, you know, often coming to talking in events and places like this. This is something that I definitely experienced once I shared that commissioners were present.
You know, that's kind of interesting because our assumption is that it's better to have more commissioners, and that makes people feel like, you know, their time is valued. And on the other hand, it also changes, like you're saying, that the people's ability to speak freely potentially. And that might be even another reason that we should limit to having just a couple commissioners join in and then share what they heard.
Yeah, I think that during the public forums, that's when you will have a bigger participation. And I'm hoping that, for instance, when we do the introductions, you will take a bigger role in explaining and being more active and proactive at the public forums. But this one's, as we and staff were taking more like the role of explaining what the process is. It isn't that the case, but yes, I just want to make sure that we understand that happens too.
But it is helpful, I think, as Commissioner Juarez said, because in one session, we were introduced and I was asked to say a couple words, and in another one, it was so just to keep it consistent and just explain from the beginning. And if people want us to say, hello, this is who I am, then at least it's, you know, a little less awkward maybe. Okay, any other thoughts on the meetings or anything that we've discussed so far? Okay. Otherwise, we will turn back to see if there's anyone who wanted to give public comment that didn't give a chance earlier.
Looks like there's a request from Joseph Lockman.
Joseph, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
We are. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give a brief public comment. Again, my name is Joseph Lockman. I work as the policy manager for Asian Counseling and Referral Service, and we're also with a part of, we're helping to drive some of the work with redistricting justice for Seattle, which is kind of the local effort of redistricting justice for Washington. We really want to just express appreciation to Elsa for meeting with us previously to talk about some of the commission's work. And one of the items that we'd also discussed is that we would love to find times to, if possible, you know, and Elsa, I sent you in communication about this, and thank you for following up with us. But we just love to find time to meet with some of the commissioners separately to talk about some of the priorities for redistricting justice for Seattle, and would love to just find opportunities to talk with you all about some of the again priorities, some of the core values, and just making sure that you know, we have a chance to build relationships with the commission. So again, I'm happy to you know, follow up, of course, to Elsa, but just wanted to thank you for the public comment opportunity, and look forward to working with you all more through the redistricting process. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. We look forward to working with your organization as well. Is there anybody else who would like to give public comment? Okay. Well, wonderful. Our next meeting is April 19th under the leadership of our new chair. Thank you, Commissioner Juarez. And with that, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.